Alright guys, so welcome to another episode of Malcolm Patton Fishing. Today, I'm going to be going over my top 10 favorite pond fishing lures, dash tactics, what I believe is the most productive, and what I've had the most success on, and what I believe they can make you success too. So stay tuned and I'll get right into them. Hopefully we'll pick up some tips and tricks and learn about some new lures. So let's get right into it. Alright, so I'm going to do these in no particular order, just kind of whatever I pick up first. But the last three are going to be my top 3 favorite, but let's go ahead and get into number 1. And number 1 would be the jig. Now this is a Z-Man Shrooms Finesse jig. It is a 3/16 ounce, and this is a pond scum color. Now it has, pond scum has the blue, the brown, kind of the peach and the brown, and I have a Krusty's Elastic trailer on it. Now these things are sweet to throw in ponds. They look like kind of a creature or a crawfish, any kind of, sometimes it even looks like a bluegill is what I've heard about this particular color right here, but I can look through any kind of creature or crawl you got in your pond. It's a real productive bait. And this is going to be on jigs in general, so this is what I prefer, Shrooms Finesse Jig by Z-Man. They also have a black and blue color, which is probably my second favorite color. I also picked up another pack of 1/8, which is a little heavier than lighter than 3/16 ounce. But it's they're real sweet lures. Now, since these skirts are kind of thin, you can see, especially turned upside down, you want a good quality trailer on there. So like I said, I got the Krusty's crab. He actually came in a mystery tackle box. And if you don't do that, I would put on like there's a standard finesse TRD, which is basically like a Ned rig. So when I'm not throwing the Shrooms jig by Z-Man, the micro finesse jigs, I like these Bitsy Bugs by Strike King, which I believe they are about the same price. These come in a 2-pack, the Shrooms jigs, but these come in 1-pack, so they go out to about the same price. So I like the black and blue 1/4 ounce Bitsy Bug, and also, get that upside down. It's kind of the same color as pond scum. Not exactly sure what color, but another 1/4 ounce Bitsy Bug. They're cheap, they're effective, and make sure you got a good trailer on those as well. Because sometimes, I'll be honest though, I will use a jig without even putting a trailer on it. It just depends on the situation, what you got growing and living in your pond. So, what I will do on the occasion, my buddy Garrett, he's a big jig guy, and he'll convince me to throw these big ones. And this is only a 3/8 ounce. You can tell I use it for practice flipping because that tore up on the back. But this is just a black and blue, and if you haven't caught on, it's one of my favorite colors. But black and blue jig. This is just a standard 3/8 ounce football jig, but those also work great. And if I know there's some real mondos in my pond, or in the pond I'm going to that has potential for having huge bass, this is a 1/2 ounce jig. I don't even know who makes this, but it's huge. It has a Zoom Ultra Vibe black and blue. I normally throw those just these Ultra Vibes by themselves in creeks, but they work as really nice trailers on jigs. I've heard a lot of good things about them. But when I think I'm going to be big fish, it's a big lure, big jig. So that's my jig section. Right, now my next lure I'm going to be discussing is the frog. Now, frogs are pretty standard for ponds and all that. A lot of people already know about them. I'm going to kind of go over when and where I throw what kind of frogs. Now, I would say probably my all-around favorite would probably the Lunker Hunt Lunker Frog. Y'all all probably familiar with it by now, but it just looks real realistic and natural. It's one of my favorites to throw, especially if you know you have frogs in your pond. Now, this is the Combat Frog. It's supposed to be a little tougher, a little bigger for those bigger bass is what it targets, and is another really good frog to throw in ponds. Also, if I'm not feeling the lifelike frog, which those also, they look real lifelike and natural, and I like that about them, but they don't make that much noise, that much commotion, and don't bring up fish like I think something like this Booyah Pad Crasher, the popping frog version, has that little cup right there, and it pops through the water, bringing out those fish from a little deeper water, and just makes more action on the top. And if also, something just like the Pad Crusher is the Spit and Wall by River to Sea, and they make some nice ones. And I haven't had the best luck on this one just because I haven't done it that much, but I feel like it could be a real productive one, just like the Pad Crasher. Now, there is the occasion where if they're not feeling the big frogs and they won't eat them, I'll use this teeny tiny frog on a spinning rod at ponds, and I mainly do that in creeks, but creeks will be a separate video. But this is my teeny tiny frog I got, also a Lunker Hunt frog, which I really like that brand, and they're frogs mainly, but that's the kind of frogs I will use for ponds. Now, what I'll say about these Lunker Hunt frogs, if you see a frogs, not a frog, but multiple frogs at your pond, or you hear them croaking and all that, I would 100% go with one of these, because what those bass are already used to is those frogs jumping in the water, and they're used to eating them already. So if you see big bullfrogs, a combat frog wouldn't hurt. One of these size, kind of depends on what the bass are looking for that day. And another key to them is you want to make sure you get these frogs, when you throw them, you want them to hit the bank. So you want to kind of drag those off the bank so it looks as natural as possible with these natural looking frogs. And those little legs will be kicking just like that right there. You see them just kick out just like that. Look like 100% natural frog coming off the bank. And your bites would normally come within 1 to 3 feet off the bank, because those bass would be waiting for them. So that's my frog section. Alright, so my next lure is going to be one of my all-time favorites. A lot of people's all-time favorites, but I've used it for a long time, had a lot of success over my few years of being alive. So this would be the Rattle Trap. Now, this isn't the Rattle Trap brand right here. This is a Strike King Red Eye Shad. I'm not sure what color this is, but it's one of my favorites, so I don't know why I don't know, but I don't. But this is one of my favorites. I got the smaller version of Strike King's Red Eye Shad and lipless crankbait. Now, the reason I like these so much is because the different depths of water you can fish them. You don't just have to, it's not top water, it stays on top. It's not a crankbait that has, you can kind of raise it and lower it a little bit. This isn't, you can fish at the very bottom and the very top, just depending on how fast you reel it. So, if you're down in the deep part of your pond where you don't have grass yet, you can just let that dude hit the bottom, and then when you start getting to the grass where it start growing again, you can reel it up a little bit faster. If they're liking it going fast, liking it going slow, this bait can do it all. Now, one of my other favorite colors of this would be the Lunker Hunt Rattle Trap. I know I said I like their frogs a lot, but they make a lot of good lures, just different types. But this is the Kraken series lipless crankbait right here, 1/2 ounce, and that's kind of that shad color you get there, blue, with the stripes, and it's done pretty good in the past. And also just the standard Rattle Trap. And I like that bright silver color right there, because it really gets the attention. And I know Rattle Traps especially have super loud shakers in there, but they're real nice, and you get that reflective kind of silver color, flashes a ton, especially with the sunshine and everything, and it really attracts those fish. So Rattle Trap, definitely a go-to lure, and if you don't have one, I'll pick a couple up. That is my Rattle Trap section of the video. Alright, so that was my Rattle Trap section. Now I'm going to get into a very similar lure, just a little different style, and that would be, the crankbait. Now, in ponds, I'm very picky about the crankbaits I'll throw. Never throw deep diving ones, and never normally any that go about below 5 feet. That's a lot of people I know. A lot of people stick to those square bills. But I'm going to show a couple of unique baits I'll throw as far as crankbaits go. So this is like a Strike King 1.5, substandard sexy shad color. That's one of my favorite ones to throw, and it gets a lot of bites. So this is one of my favorite square bills to throw. And not just in ponds, this is a good river bait too, but one of my favorite square bills to throw in ponds. Now, my next lure is that same color that Rattle Trap was. I had no idea what it was. And it is a real teeny tiny, about as big, half the size of your finger, crankbait the Strike King also makes. And this is actually caught some pretty big fish, as small as it is in ponds and all that. And it's a real productive lure as well. See, this is a Norman some kind of baby in, I believe. I'm not quite sure the model of it, but it's a bright chartreuse that could get away from as being or not get away, get by as being a frog color or just that bright chartreuse color maybe a shad will have or something, but something to really grab those fish attention and to catch them. But you know, you can see that bill is pretty small, doesn't go too deep at all, but the Norman is a real nice choice. And all Normans seem to have a ton of sparkles in them when you do get the baits that paint jobs have sparkles in them, so that really grabs those fish's attention. Alright, so my favorite crankbait, you got it in a Lucky Tackle box. I didn't have hope in this lure when I got it. I was like, yeah, and chunked it in the trash can. No, I'm just kidding. But this bait is called the Primal Chase Snake Crank, or a snake crank by Primal Chase. Now, this is a very unique lure to say the least. When I saw it, I didn't actually try to throw it away. I was like, okay, that's neat. I'm looking forward to trying it out. I tried it out and I caught a ton of fish in a little golf course I go to a lot. And what this is a square bill, and it has those red, dots on the side, orange bottom, a feather tail treble hook at the back, and it sinks. Yeah, square bill, it sinks. I've never heard of it either, but let me tell you, this dude does, and it works. Let me tell you, I actually broke off a treble hook yesterday, catching too many fish, I guess, I don't know. But you throw that thing out there, and it's not like it just sinks straight to the bottom just like that. I mean, it has a steady sinking rate, about like that right there. And it really works, though. You get that, and the wobble of this thing, I explained what, like, just shakes like that when it goes back and forth. And it kind of rolls too. So when you see it, just all you see is those bright silver and red spots just shining back and forth. I guess the badges get mad at a little shad shaking his booty at him. I don't know, but it catches a lot of fish for such a small lure. But it is a nice crankbait, Primal Chase Snake Crank. I would definitely go check one of these out. So one more thing, I said I don't normally like throwing deep down crankbaits below 5 feet. But if you're at a pressured pond that you can figure out it's kind of deep, or if you figure out it's kind of deep and not just 5 feet all the way across, throwing one of those bigger crankbaits, like even a 3XD, or I don't even know if they make 4XD, but if they do, that would work. But by Strike King, something, if you can get it, where if your lure is tapping the bottom and digging, you'll feel it just digging in the bottom. That's where a lot of your big fish will hang out in the summertime. They'll get as deep as they can. And if you can get a crankbait deep where it's still staying out of the grass at the same time, you'll probably catch some big fish on it. So that's just kind of a little tip that most people don't think about, but because they're too worried about getting grass on it like I normally am. But if you just go for it, yeah, there's some big fish that can be caught off of it. So that's my crankbait section of the pond video. Alright, so my next lure, and this isn't a tactic, this is just a lure, and this is the Froglet by Lunker Hunt. Now this is a combination between the frog, the Lunker Hunt frog, or any frog for that matter, and a spook. And so what this does is it puts weedless frog and spook in one lure. So it's weedless presentation, and let me tell you, this thing, when it walks, it has a wide wobble. I mean, that thing can kick up some water. So it just looks, I'm just looking, it looks like a stick that would just slide through the water, but this is a super nice bait. It has that nice walking action, weedless for any kind of grass, moss, trash you got on top of your ponds. This is the one I've used so much. See that tear right there, but I've caught a ton of fish on this, and now the hooks like come out backwards and do all sorts of crazy stuff, but probably also could possibly be a factory default with this particular one. But these are some super nice lures. Has great walking action, nice weedless, and pretty good hookup ratio, honestly. This is such a soft rubber, the fish can really grab onto it just right from the back, and it is real nice. But I just felt like this lure should have a totally section on its own. Totally, yeah, whatever I'm trying to say, but I feel like I should point this lure out in particular because it is such a great combination of lures that Lunker Hunt came out with, and it's about $8, which I think is a little pricey as well, but yeah, I would say it's worth every penny. even though this did rip for a $7, $8 lure, I caught a bunch of fish on it, so it made it all worth it in the end. But the Froglet by Lunker Hunt, real nice lure. It comes in a bunch of different colors as well, and I'd definitely add one of these to the arsenal if you don't have one. Alright, so my next lure is probably one everyone's familiar with. Not as much as the one I'm going to show you in a couple from now, but it's one of my all-time favorite, and it is a Zoom Finesse Worm Weightless Texas rigged. Now, there's a couple things in particular I like to do with them that might make it a little different than how some of y'all do it, but this is a finesse worm. I'm not a big fan of the trick worms, just, I don't know, I just much rather have a 5-inch worm than like a however many inches, or like 9-inch or more. Heck, I don't even know how long they are, but they're long. And so this finesse worm, I put it on a 2/0, just a regular hook, not an extra wide gap. There it goes. Oh my! I just chunked my lure across the room. So yeah, this is the straight shank or whatever worm hook, not extra wide gap, 2/0. And the reason I use a 2/0 hook on there is because the more space you can get from there down without a hook being in it, like a 3/0, you know, might go to right here or something. But the more this is free, the more action it has when you're pulling it through the water. And the 2/0 hook, it might be small to some of you guys that use big swim baits and all that, but it catches 5-pounders just the same as a 4, 3, whatever 0 hook would. Or any fish for that matter. It's not much of a difference, but I really like these. The Weightless, sometimes I try to find whatever. I always use Gamakatsu when it's these little 2/0 hooks normally, but I try to find whatever kind of one is the thickest, and Venom Lures has a really thick wire one that I like to use on a lot of these too, and that's just for effectiveness or efficiency as well. It just helps your lure sink faster, so you don't gotta wait, and when you pull it, it doesn't go, you know, straight up to the top again. But I really like these lures right here. My all-time favorite pond lures, one of the first things I ever fished in a pond. And but yeah, just the normal finesse worm they got. This is a green pumpkin magic. I don't know, this isn't, but that's one of my favorite colors. So there you go. But which is just green pumpkin and gold and black flake in it. But that's one of my all-time favorite all-around pond lures. Is that Weightless Texas rigged finesse worm. So, all right, that's so my next lure I'm going to talk about is almost like the finesse worm with the Texas rig, and that's the same thing, and something I'm sure you're all familiar with, which is the Texas rigged Senko Weightless. Now, all that is just normal Texas rig. I use a 3/0 extra wide gap hook, and some of my favorite worms to throw are the Yum Dingers, mainly because they're cheap and I like their colors too. There's always the gray Yamamoto that are infamous, popular, whatever you want to say. Actually, they're not really infamous, they're famous for a good reason, which is because they work and catch big fish. But I personally would not recommend them because they tear up super easily and they're insanely expensive compared to like a Yum Dinger or anything like that. And probably my all-time favorite one, beside the Yum Dinger, is the Venom Lures Salty Sling. Has a ton of salt in there, and it has the Venom Lures Grab Scent, which is a really nice scent they have embedded on their soft plastics already. But it has some good action to it, real soft, and it doesn't tear as easy as some of those other ones. Sorry, I just knocked the camera. I don't know what I'm doing. Oh my god. Keep knock you over. So, with those worms and those Senkos primarily, I do 3/0 hook, weightless, and some of my favorite hooks to use are these right here if I can get one out of the pack. And they're the Venom Lures Death Grip hooks right there. Now these are 3/0, the extra wide gap I was talking about, and these are heavy wire hooks right here. And the reason I use the heavy wire like I was talking about with those finesse worms is because since they're heavier, they might be a little more bulky and all that, but they sink faster because they're bigger, and that's for efficiency to get that bait out quicker and to fish it closer to the bottom. What I do with Senkos, I normally give them about 2 pretty pretty decently hard twitches and just let it sink, and then 2 pretty hard twitches. And normally when you let it sink and when you twitch once or the second twitch, that's when they'll annihilate it. But it all just depends. So that's how I like fishing my my weightless Senkos, and I like that extra wide gap hook just for Senkos because these things are pretty thick. So when the bass bites down, that fat Senko can, you know, scoot down without being hit against the straight shank, and you can still get a good hook set in. So that's one of my favorite lures right there, is a weightless Senko, just like a lot of people, but it is productive and it does work. So that's my Senko section. Alright, now this is getting in, we'll leave to my top 3 favorite now. And this number 3 is what I can hold in my hand. So if that gives you any hints, bam, the Ned rig. Now this lure is actually extremely hard to find the shroom heads, and not as hard to find the TRDs, the finesse TRDs to go with them, but the Z-Man shroom heads are so hard to find. But I finally got my hands on some, and they are sweet. Now what this is basically like a little mushroom head, and these hooks you probably cannot see, but it has a little keeper on it to keep your plastics up on the Z-Man ones. This is a 1/6 ounce. I use it for efficiency as well, so it sinks faster. Sometimes for some of y'all, I definitely go, or even me sometimes, 1/10. If you get a lot of grass on the bottom, it keeps you from getting hung up as much and staying on the bottom. But this thing is a productive lure. This will catch them when they're hungry, when they're not hungry, when they're aggressive, when they're not aggressive. You can fish it so many different ways, and it's just an awesome all-around bait. It looks kind of small. Some of y'all know, like again, that small hook, y'all, I'm like, hey, I can't catch a fish on it. But go look up trout fishermen catching, you know, 5 to 10 pound trout on a hook, like a size 12 hook. I mean, it's insane. So it's possible you can catch big fish on it, and it's a real good finesse tactic or just power fishing tactic, depending on how you use it. Yeah, I use the 1/6 ounce primarily Z-Man shrooms Ned rig heads, meant just for that. They come in a 5-pack, so that's pretty good. So you can lose a couple of them and still have them. My favorite color is a California Crawl there, the finesse TRD, and obviously they came up with the perfect size one, which is 2.75 inches, so 2 3/4 inches. Finesse TRD worm, and so I would definitely get a Elastic, even if you don't get the same kind of shroom head, which I would suggest their jig head, because it has that bait keeper on it, and you can pull it as hard as you want, and that it just barely slides down, if not at all. So, and also this Elastic, I would get it no matter what. You can get a normal Elastic Senko, I don't even know what they're called, but cut it in half and use it. I just get the finesse TRDs, and I mean, you see those things just will not break. I mean, I'm pulling this thing far, and they just won't break. They stand up to a lot of fish. I caught countless number of fish just on this one worm right here. But there it goes. So that's the Ned rig. Now, one thing while I'm on the topic of Ned rig is I'll give its big brother, and that would be the shaky head. Now, I actually have a video that I made a little while back that's not super great, but it's all good. And it is shaky head fishing in ponds, and I'll kind of touch on that and review and go over how I fish those in ponds in that video. So if you want to go check it out, this is called like shaky head pond fishing. But this does have a trick worm on it. I normally would prefer though putting a finesse worm on it, just because the size in my opinion, but this is a 3/16 I believe shaky head here, and it's kind of like the Ned rig, just, you know, weedless with the post-tex in there and everything. So nice lure, 2 nice presentations. I love for slight fishing, especially where you can throw that lure right in front of the fish or work them a couple times. They normally get hammered. So that's some of my favorite bottom baits, soft plastics for ponds. So let's get to the next one. Alright, my next section is something I've thrown on this channel before. Probably my all-time favorite topwater now. And it is the one and only, if it can get untangled with his other lure. the Whopper Plopper. Now this lure, when it first came out, you know, you watch all the YouTube videos like I gotta have one. But also like the YouTube videos, you see that duck getting hit up all the time, and I never get bit on the duck, or I've never known anybody that's gotten bit on the duck. Actually, I don't have a duck, so I guess I can't say that, but I haven't known anybody catch one. But so I had my doubts about this lure is what I'm trying to say. But let me tell you, when I tried this one out, it exceeded expectations, and I would highly recommend it, especially for ponds. I like the bone color the best because it's not that white shiny pearl, but it's not the crazy other colors, but it's this good neutral, really good topwater color. The bone has the red tail, looks like bleeding, and then the back treble hook. I don't replace my hooks on all my lures when I get them. I just wait till they break or bend too bad, and this one happened to bend really bad, and so I put a red treble hook on it, just so it could look like a little bullet trail, because when you pull these up, your back hook, it pulls out. It doesn't stay down here. It just goes out, and so does this one too. It kind of goes out like that. So anyways, Whopper Plopper, the 90F. I would not get the 130F unless you know there's big fish in your pond, and some little fish. You know, bass are super aggressive, so I'm gonna say I wouldn't get it. I have one, but I just don't use it that much. But I would go with the 90F for ponds, 90 series, and I also have another color right here, which is some blue color, blue and yellow. But I like the bone the best. It's definitely produced a lot of big fish. But that's my favorite topwater lure, and just in general, topwater, you can't beat it. In ponds, especially ones that aren't fished that much, you know, and my favorite thing is topwater fishing. So this is so much fun to watch them blow up and all that. But I also like to throw pop bars a lot, and there's the lunker hunt. Like there's versions sexy shad color. It has a ton of rattles in it, makes a lot of noise for those fish to draw them up. And then the Rebel Popper is, they perfected it because they had the perfect shaped mouth that spits a ton of water. I just love that color. It's also a bone color. And I love that Popper. And then, I pointed on this earlier, but I'll get a little more detail with the Sexy Dog Junior, not the normal Sexy Dog, but the Sexy Shad color of the Sexy Dog the Strike King makes. And that thing gets a lot of blow-ups. Wow. Very sharp hooks. And is a real productive lure in ponds. But if I had to pick one of them, it would be the Whopper Plopper right here. You can fish it fast like a buzzbait, slow like a little creature calling through the water. You can do whatever with it. So that's my topwater section of the video. Alright, so finally the light from the roof is dying out, and my room light is going to be kicking a little bit more. So I think I caught the sun at the perfect time to make this video. But this is the last lure. Now, what I'm about to show you is the most overrated, underrated, hard to explain lure I have. And it's not just a lure. This is a setup, and it's called a Dropshot. My all-time favorite, I would be safe to say, pond fishing lure. Now, when I first saw it, and I'm sure y'all too, if y'all are not big finesse people in the first place, and I'll kind of go through this quickly, but I don't like finesse fishing. It kind of intimidating me, trying to go real slow and having, you know, a weight and a line and your hook, and how would you set all that up. And I just didn't like it. I never tried it, but it started getting so many fish, so many bites, so popular. I was like, I gotta try it out, and I did, and it works. So what I do is I get a size 1 mosquito hook by Owner, and I put that worm on. I get a finesse worm by Zoom, and this is probably one of my favorite things. And the reason I like doing that is because the finesse worms come like a 20-pack, and almost every time you catch a fish, or every 2 fish at least, they'll shake off your worm just the way you have to rig them. So I would get the cheapest and best combination of short worms when you do it. And I'll go into how you rig it a little bit. So what it is all you do is a polymer knot. If you're not familiar with that, it's just no problem. It's a simple knot to tie, and look it up real easy. But you know when you have that tag in, you have to trim on most lures of the polymer knot. Well, instead of doing that, intentionally just pull the tag in instead of tightening the main line. Pull the tag in and make it as long as you want. And you know, this one is down here to all the way up here, so this is almost a 2-foot thing right here, probably about 1.5 feet actually. But you do that and you leave the tag in, and these Dropshot weights you see It's kind of hard to tell, but what that is right there is a thing where you just put the line in that thing right there and just pull it up so it wedges in between that little metal thing right there, and it's called a drop shot weight. You won't miss them, and that's so you don't have to tie a knot, and it's meant for if this weight gets hung, that weight's going to come off so you don't have to retie your whole drop shot setup and not have to redo it, and you can just put a new weight on there, which is super easy. Just pinch it on, so it kind of looks unsafe when you do it, like that thing is just going to fall off, but I promise it doesn't. Alright, so I do a cylinder weight on it, not the teardrop, because these go through grass easier, get less grass on them. They get hung up less because those teardrops will get crammed between rocks. This will just slide through them. There's really no reason not to throw one of these, other than sometimes the sensitivity I heard is a little different, but not by much if you just get used to throwing it. So I definitely get used to throwing the cylinder weight. Just the size 1 mosquito hook by Owner are super great hooks. They're light wire hooks, so you gotta do that soft hook set, but I've actually not meaning to set the hook pretty hard with these drop shot, and these hooks are pretty true and they haven't messed up yet. But that's kind of a simple how to rig a drop shot, and why I like using them. Whoa, my voice. But this you'll see a lot of people, and when it first came out especially, they'll just rig the drop shot just like that. So you see that hook right there is just right through the nose. Now, I did some videos of when I was learning how to drop shot, and I watched a lot of pros, and what they did is they got that drop shot and just got a little below the eye there, or a little before the head, and you push it right in the middle, so where your lure goes like that, and it looks like that when you're all said and done. So that your hook, just until the bend of it, you're just going right through the middle of that worm, and when it sticks out, it has some really nice action to it. Looks natural. It almost feels like cheating sometimes, because off the bottom looks like a little bitty hook. All they see is that worm, and it catches a bunch of fish. Keeps your bait off the bottom from grass. Super natural, super finesse. You can even use it as like power bait and fish it real quick if you do it right. I'm sure there's a video on that somewhere, but I have a video of drop shot pond fishing. I'm pretty sure that's the title of it, and you can go check it out. And it gives me I give you a few tips on how I would fish them in ponds. So the drop shot, one of my all-time favorites. Super productive. Now, one thing I forgot to add in is when you tie that polymer knot, before you put the weight on, make your tag end go back through the eye. So once you have just that normal tag in, you're going to make it go back through that eye, just so your hook, when it's all said and done, you want your hook to be pointing up. So whatever you can do to get your hook pointing up, not upside down like that, when it points up, you're doing it right. So just make sure you do that, and you'll have a productive bait on your hands. And it's my all-time favorite pond fishing bait. So it's a good tactic, good lures. It can take a variety of soft plastics on there, even just whatever your favorites is, and it can really get the job done. Alright guys, so I hope you enjoyed that video. First off, it's called I didn't get a chance to film fishing this weekend, so this is what I ended up with. But 2, I thought it would be a good video to make, just hopefully to help some of you out, give you some tips, stuff like that, and some different things that hopefully helped, tricks and all that. That was kind of what my arsenal is, and I have basically this whole box right here is just full of those things I just showed you in some form or another, and some random things that I use just in case. But that's the top 10 pond fishing lures / tactics, in my opinion, and what I believe will work for everyone at some point in time at the right place, which is basically all ponds. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Hope it gave you some information. Thank you for your support. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Alright guys, so I was editing this past video that you just saw, and I forgot to put in something super important for this summer, and so I'm changing my video schedule. I have been putting them on Thursdays for the past a little over a month now, but now I'm going to be putting up on Mondays, so I'm going to say it again, Mondays. Now I know I said Thursdays in my last video, but I was just looking at my schedule. It's going to be a lot easier and better for me to put them on Mondays. So that's what's gonna be like for the rest of the summer, and we may move it back to Thursdays when the school year starts. It just kind of depends. So Mondays from now on, it'll be Sundays if I get done early editing the video for that week, and Monday late that night if I get done doing it late. So appreciate you watching this one. The new one will be out next Monday. Thanks for watching. Thanks for your support, and I'll see you next time.